Hey everyone, this is Jay, also known as Jaynemesis from eToro, for our weekly eToro update for week 47. Before we get started, just want to say, obviously, I am not a financial advisor. This is not trading advice. You should obviously seek out expert advice or take this advice at your own risk, not at my risk, if that makes sense. Let's get started. So, top news for this week, Bitcoin Gold drama has been all over the place on eToro, so I wanted to touch on that. There's a lot of news that's been going on in cryptocurrencies, new all-time highs pretty much across the board. Uh, it's been a bit of a quiet week for stock news, so not too much to report on there. Our weekly stats for this week, 2.73% realized profit and 22 trades, which is actually quite low, but we'll dig into that when we get onto the stats page. First of all, crypto news. So, some interesting news. Revolut is supporting Bitcoin. Revolut is a mobile phone application. I actually use it myself. It's a fintech startup basically, and the main selling point of Revolut is that it's a really easy to use application that kind of splits out all of your payments and automatically categorizes them for you. And it's very easy to convert money between different currencies. Very, very useful if you're someone that travels a lot or if you do a lot of remittance payments and things like that. But I actually use it myself, and they actually announced that they were adding Bitcoin quite a long time ago. So this is almost a second announcement of the same thing. It's a bit weird, really. But basically, there's more details on it now. It's more similar to a CFD, so it's not real Bitcoin that you're holding. You can't spend it in a shop, and you can't go and withdraw it and send it to different wallets, but it is tied to the value. So effectively, if you have a bunch of money in your account and you kind of want to keep it safe, you want to use it as savings effectively, then you can tie it to the Bitcoin price and watch it grow in value, which is super cool and really useful, and it really makes sense in what Revolut's app does. Effectively, instead of creating a savings account, they've created the ability to store it in whichever currency you want, and that now includes Bitcoin, which is very cool. I'm a big fan of Revolut, and I think that once the regulators actually allow them to innovate a bit more, they will probably enable real Bitcoin on there as well. That's purely my speculation, though. Dash has had the return of Amanda B. Johnson. So if you don't know who she is basically the face of Dash. She's been like the marketing lady for Dash for perhaps 2 years or so, before she stopped at the start of this year and decided that she was going to take a break from it. She returned earlier, and with it, she brought a new proposal to the Dash fund, basically, to decide on how they want to spend it. But she's proposing basically a really big marketing strategy next year for when Evolution is being pushed out for Dash. So she really wants to let the public know what Dash is, and she's partnered with a big marketing agency to help out with it. I'm actually not that keen on the proposal, but it is good to see Amanda return, and whether or not it was caused by this or it was caused by the mining situation on Dash or perhaps some other news, Dash has rallied substantially right when this news broke. So I think it's somewhat related. Maybe it acted as a bit of a catalyst. Dash was pretty undervalued anyway at that point, but very cool to see her back. She's well known for her YouTube videos, so hopefully she'll be creating more, and you can see some more good updates on Dash. Next up, new all-time highs for pretty much the four horsemen of cryptocurrency, as I like to think of it, which is Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Dash. So these are my favorite top five cryptos, although Litecoin's sixth at the moment. But yeah, these are my favorite cryptocurrencies on eToro, and all of them saw new all-time highs this week, unlike Ripple and unlike Ethereum Classic. Although at the time of recording this, Ethereum Classic is pumping pretty hard right now. Um, so I think this has pretty much been a long time coming. Ethereum, Dash, and Litecoin have not been at these levels since pre-China, before the ICO ban and things like that took place in China. Bitcoin recovered from that much more quickly, but I did predict that it would be going towards 10k, and currently it's on target for that. If anything, I'm thinking of moving the goalposts a little bit further because it seems ahead of schedule, and it seems very sustainable so far. Um, so I'm not expecting a correction quite yet on any of these really. I think that if anything, Ethereum and Dash and Litecoin have still got some way to go. Even Bitcoin, I think, has still got some way to go. So, some good news. Obviously, we prepared for this pretty heavily, this rally, and we are very heavily invested in Bitcoin, especially, but also in Dash. And as a result, we've benefited quite a lot from this. So you'll see when we get to the stats page a little bit more clearly. The other thing I really wanted to talk about was Bitcoin Gold. So there's been a lot of people on eToro complaining that they don't have access to their Bitcoin Gold. They're not alone. There are other people complaining across the internet that they don't have access to it. I think what's really important here is to look at the actual technical information. Right now, it is very, very, very difficult to split Bitcoin Gold from Bitcoin. Meaning, if you want to send Bitcoin Gold, it's very easy to perform what's known as a replay attack and um, send Bitcoin to the same address without your knowledge or your consent. So trying to send the two coins in different directions is very difficult at the moment. This is actually something that was part of uh, their bounty system for the code prior to the fork. So before the fork, they set up a bunch of bounties for the code for things that they hadn't fixed yet. And actually, this was never fixed before they even launched a cryptocurrency, which is why most exchanges and most wallets do not support it. Wallet-wise, I think there's only like two that support Bitcoin Gold, and there are a lot of scam wallets out there. So be very careful if you are trying to split off your Bitcoin Gold and sell it. The same goes for exchanges. There are only a handful of exchanges that are actually allowing Bitcoin Gold trading. So eToro is in the majority here. So I think that any like criticism about them not giving you access to your Bitcoin Gold is actually pretty unjustified because basically I'm calling you out and saying that you don't understand the technical difficulties in actually trying to split it. Um, if Coinbase isn't doing it, then why should eToro do it? Like that there are some, Coinbase still hasn't even given people access to their Bitcoin Cash actually, but most exchanges are not going anywhere near Bitcoin Gold right now. Bittrex is one of the minority that are doing it. So if you're upset, I would say be patient. I think when it becomes easier to do, then eToro will probably do the right thing and try and split out the money accordingly. But also, I believe that by that time, the price will have tanked. I did predict that it would be worth like somewhere in the region of $10 or $20. And I stick by that prediction. I know it's worth 300 plus at the moment, but that is because people can't sell it. People can't split it and they can't sell it. So the price is really unjustified at the moment. Bitcoin Gold is not something that should be taken seriously whatsoever. They launched without a finished product. That says an awful lot. Not only that, but they pre-mined it as well. It's honestly, as far as I'm concerned, Bitcoin Gold is a bit of a joke. Bitcoin Cash has some respect from me because they forked in a sensible way. Even if I disagree with what the coin does, at least they did it safely and correctly. Stock news, very little to talk about really. I didn't really stumble across that much news this week. So Amazon soared during Black Friday to new highs again, which making Jeff the richest man on the planet once again, worth $100 billion or so, give or take. I think you at that point you probably stop counting, really, don't you? But yeah, good news for us. We have a small position left in Amazon, around 2%, 2 or 3% of the portfolio. It's not too big, but pretty happy with these gains. Obviously, not going to complain about it. We predicted this. I think that we will start to kind of close out of Amazon towards Christmas. The retailers tend to do a bit worse in January, I've noticed. So a bit cautious around there. Facebook has added tools to display exposure to Russian accounts. So this is basically all revolving around what happened with Brexit and what happened with the US elections, where it's thought that Russia had basically been on a massive propaganda campaign through social media and kind of solely influencing people's opinions. This is something that's very, very difficult for a social network to tackle, really. Like, I don't think that there's any way that you can really stop it at all. It's very, very difficult to stop just because of the way that social media works and how people socialize. So this is kind of a cool way of doing it actually, is by finding out which accounts they are and then just exposing them. And then the people that are actually concerned about it will seek out this information and and try and understand a bit better and stop, I guess, stop believing everything they read so easily. But yeah, it's a very difficult situation. Effectively, cyber warfare has just turned into social media warfare, and currently Russia is winning. So yeah, it's very difficult for Facebook, and I think Twitter has got similar problems as well. It'll be interesting to see how this situation evolves over time, but nothing. I don't think it's really going to affect the price or anything, but kind of interesting piece of news to keep in your minds anyway about how how it can affect those social media platforms. Time for the stats. So 22 trades this week, all of them profitable. Average trade size was 1%, which is for those of you that don't know, my goal is always to have my average trade size over 1%, so that people can more easily be rest assured that they will be able to copy every position I open. Um, Average trade profit of 10.64%. That's slightly lifted higher because of a couple of trades I did. I think I closed a dash trade at around 51% profit, so that's helped lift that score up a bit. Most traded was Bitcoin, and my total realized profit this week from my closed trades is 2.73%, which is higher than last week. But as you're about to see, a lot lower than the amount that we've gone up by in November. So last week we were somewhere around 12% profit, if I remember right. And now we're up to 23 and a half almost. So obviously that means that there is a big discrepancy between the 2.7% you just saw and the 10% that has actually changed since we last looked at this page. So basically that means I have a lot of positions that are still open. I'm going to keep them open for a reasonable chunk of time, I think. I believe that Bitcoin's going to push on to 10k pretty comfortably and probably even go higher than that towards 11 or 12. The same for most cryptocurrencies. I think that it's too early to start closing out all of my positions right now. I have closed a couple, and I am starting to look at rebalancing and taking out some of the profits and realizing those gains. But for the time being, I'm pretty confident that we're looking healthy at the moment. So looking ahead, I'm always on the eye, got my eye out now for some nice discounted stocks because we've seen a pretty strong bull market this year with the likes of Nvidia, Micron, Tesla. A lot of companies have done very well this year. So at this point, I'm starting to accumulate a bit of money on the sidelines as I start to take profits from some of these trades, and pretty much just waiting for some bargains. So it could be a while before we really delve into a lot of new positions. It really depends how things go. We might be waiting until the next earnings report, or there could be some ratings that come out that maybe change things. But I'm on the lookout for some nice discounts. There are some positions that I'm really happy with already, but I think generally speaking, I could really do with some nice drops now to get back in cheaply on some nice stocks. Bitcoin CME rally is still going and gaining speed, gaining momentum. I've kind of already covered that, but I think that actually a big drop at 10k isn't that likely anymore. I think it'll be pretty minor, similar to what we saw at 9k, where it just dips down by $200 or so. So I think actually we're more likely to head towards 11k now by the end of the year, maybe even 12k. It's hard to tell, but currently the rally is looking very sustainable. I also want to start rebuilding our Tesla position. So as many of you know, I closed out a lot of positions prior to their earnings report, which was good because their earnings was bad, so I closed at a profit. And rebought more cheaply, but I still need to continue rebuying those positions and get back into Tesla for the long haul. I think next quarter might still be a bit rocky, but after that we should be good for some solid movement upwards. And finally, I'm heading to eToro's offices in Israel. So next week, or at the end of this week actually, on Sunday, I am flying out to Israel, and then I'm in their offices Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday morning, and then I fly back to the UK. So the purpose of the visit is pretty much just because it's cool for their staff to meet me. It's cool for me to meet their staff and see their offices. We're gonna do a few like marketing things and stuff. Nothing all that exciting really. But for me, I'm pretty pretty hyped about seeing the scale of the operations there and what they're working on. I get to meet some of the guys in charge of the product and the design, and I've got a meeting with the Yoni and a few other people, so it's going to be really, really cool. I get to really actually have hopefully a bit of an influence on the direction of the platform, or see what they've got planned. I probably won't be able to communicate it to you all, but I'll try and decipher as much as I can, and find out what I'm allowed to tell you and what I'm not, and report back to you guys. It does mean that my stream on Tuesday next week will probably not happen, or if it does, it will be very different. I'm hoping that I will be able to live stream a tour around their office, to all of you guys on my Twitch channel. And I will be doing a Twitch stream on eToro's channel later on, so on Tuesday, I think. So yeah, there's quite a lot for me to look forward to. I think it's going to be really, really interesting, and hopefully I can kind of unveil to you guys what eToro are working on, and all the rest of it. So that's pretty much it for this week. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed the content, then obviously Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, eToro, and now YouTube. I should probably add a YouTube logo and a YouTube link on there. Subscribe, follow, all the rest of it. Please feel free to comment in the comments below, or on eToro or Twitter or whatever, about your thoughts about this video, what you think. And yeah, that's it. It's been a good video. So I'll see you all next week, guys. Thanks for watching.